welcome to this edition of Inside Government Interview. On this edition of Inside Government, I'm being joined by the Department Head of Culture, Ms. CLARA REYES. What are we going to be talking about this time around? It's all about Emancipation Day celebration, which is usually held on July 1st. Before we get into our interview, let's recap a bit. As customary, the annual celebration of Emancipation Day is held on July 1st, as was mentioned. Last year's theme was No More Auction Block for Me. It was celebrated with a church service at the St. Martin of Tours Roman Catholic Church in Front Street. Also, after that, followed by a march straight towards the Cultural Manifestation House, which was the Watkins. It is the Watkins property at 1113 The Boardwalk on Front Street, across the road from the Orania School. Without further ado, I'd like to say welcome to Ms. CLARA REYES. How are you doing, Clara?
I am so wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And you mentioned the Watkins House, which was actually a former slave depot. So I try to do with every event to have historical significance. And so we found out through the research that the Watkins House, which is a monument, was a former slave depot. So we wanted to lend some historical, presence to the event to let people know that this really happened, and this is one of the locations where slaves was housed before they were shipped off or auctioned, or the full details I don't have right now. Yeah. But certainly that we know for a fact that that was a slave depot.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
Yes.
As Emancipation Day is quickly approaching, the importance to explore our past and also the respect our roots, and also thus celebrating this day annually as a national holiday. What does this all bring about? Why?
Continuity, continuum, the idea that we are here through the efforts and sacrifice of those that came before us. While our history is not simply attached to the enslavement period, our history goes way beyond that. The fact is, it did happen. It had a significant traumatic impact that still impacts the community today. The reverberations of being part of prisoners of war and surviving, enslavement and all the dehumanizing factors. It is very, very necessary to know that we are survivors. We thrived in the face of all this adversity, so we can draw so much from it as a person today, and know that you're not in isolation, that your story is built on the blood memory of those that came before you, and we have to build upon the legacy because we owe it to those who sacrificed their lives in order for us to be here. So it's very necessary as a country to have a very tangible sense of their past, to have a very clear direction of what you want to accomplish for the future.
Yeah. Very in-depth. Yeah. It was July 1st, 1863, stand corrected. What did the Emancipation Proclamation accomplish from that time?
So here's the thing. Now, St. Martin is in a very unique position. While the official date is 1863, July 1st, 1848 is a pivotal and most crucial date to be incorporated in all of the emancipation celebrations of St. Martin, because in 1848, when the French Republic declared that the abolishment of slavery in the French territories, the news traveled to St. Martin and arrived on May 29th. It was May 27th, and then arrived on May 28th. Then immediately after that, I think it was May 29th, certainly within a very short period, you had the Diamond 26 escape, which was 26 enslaved men, women, and children on the Diamond Plantation just across the border that ran across the border to Mount Fortune. And that triggered a 15-year period of St. Martin where the enslaved community continuously fought for, resisted, agitated, because and then the Panam song says it. Abby been a hearing long time, but Bokra been a hide him. So emancipation was declared, but for them the news was being withheld. It's like, no, 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 we are emancipated. And there's even these fascinating documents where the landowners are saying, we would never lie to you, but they were trying to stave off this, but which is very difficult to do on an island this small of St. Martin, where you have one half that's been liberated. The people are not going to just sit around and say, okay, we're going to stay enslaved. So that created a momentum across the island that from that point on, there was a cavalcade, a tsunami of escapes, revolts, revolution, people leaving the island, to the point that at one point, again from the archives, reading the document, the business owners, the slave owners were begging, pleading, supplicating to the queen in the Netherlands, the king at the time, to please release the enslaved community because they're not working. And there became this de facto period where the business community, the enslavers, were now negotiating with there's a book called Vrije Slaven, which kind of talked about the fact that the enslaved community had to be paid from that point on. So while the official law says 1863, July 1st, emotionally, practically, St. Martiners declared their own liberation in 1848, 15 years prior to the other Dutch territories. So St. Martin Dutch side story, that cannot be left out. They go part and parcel. So yes, 1863 is the official date, but the St. Martin rebellious, resistant, agitative spirit already initiated and took their liberations by themselves in 1848 on the Dutch side. And there became this negotiation period of how to navigate this concept of free slaves. You understand? So that's very important, I think, and one of the reasons why we always try to maintain is to keep the St. Martin public informed about the nature of the community at the time. I mean, it was really a volatile situation. People were afraid. They thought they were called marauding gangs of people. They had extra security at night in Cold Bay. They had extra ships on the coast trying to stave off the escapes, whether it was Anguilla, whether it was in St. Kitts, because we are in too close proximity for people to be complacent. They're like, what? Anguilla is free 1833? So from that period on, from the archives, you see a constant agitation period of people never resting, always pushing and trying to liberate themselves. So 1848 was the most opportune moment in that, by virtue of the border just being literally, you could see Mount Fortune from Diamond Estate. And once the opportunity was available, they ran. Yeah. And that's why this year we're doing the reenactment of this, the Diamond 26. That's a pivotal moment because that initiated the momentum of who St. Martin is today, this continuous agitation for determination of self.
Happy to have you here with us. We're going to take that break, Clara, and hold that thought. When I take that break and I return back, we need to talk a little bit more about the lyrics that's in the Song of the Panam.
Okay.
I heard you mention a few of the lyrics. Mm-hmm. We're going to get a breakdown of that momentarily. Stay tuned. This is Inside Government Interview with yours truly, Charity Dunker. And again, I'm being joined by the Department Head of Culture, none other than Miss Clara Reyes. We're talking Emancipation Day Celebration 2022. We'll be back right after this.
Are you busy with summer cleaning or preparing for the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season? Remember to clean and remove mosquito breeding sites and artifacts from your premises. Let us work together in keeping our communities mosquito-free. Join hands together across your community as we fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Let us collectively prevent a mosquito pandemic such as dengue, chick-V, or Zika. Let's take action today. This public service announcement is brought to you by Collective Prevention Services.
Welcome to the Department of Statistics. In 2010, the responsibility of statistics was transferred from Curaçao to St. Martin in preparation of its new country status.
Thank you. We are officially responsible for collecting, analyzing, and disseminating statistical information for the new country CIMAT.
Our mission is to generate valuable statistics independently and thoroughly, focusing on professionalism, confidentiality, objectivity, accuracy, reliability, and promptness.
Our vision is to build a sustainable statistical agency that is a leader in providing official quality statistics for the benefit of the nation of St. Martin and the international community.
Data can be considered core drivers of all countries. Based on data, you can adjust policies, improve your country, and monitor how your country develops.
We publish official economic figures such as the gross domestic product, price inflation, and the labor force.
Our department gives government an idea of where we currently are, forecast where we want to be, and monitor if we are reaching our forecasted goals.
This message has been brought to you by the Department of Statistics and the Department of Communication. Welcome back, and again, we're here in Inside Government interview with my guest, Ms. CLARA Reyes, Department Head of Culture, and we're talking about Emancipation Day Celebration 2022 as it approaches July 1st. CLARA, right before the break, you mentioned of the lyrics in the Panam song.
Okay.
Can you give us a breakdown again and repeat what it is, word for word?
Abi been a hearum long time, Bukra been a hidem. Old English, which translates to, we have heard the news a long time ago. However, we are aware that the masters or the slave owners, the Bokra, is withholding the information from us. So, Abi been a hear 'em long time, Bokra been a hide 'em. Or, oh, post slave, Abi got emancipation, oh, post slave, we have been emancipated. Or another line is, I've been working for a long, long time writing this island. I mean, that's self-explanatory. So the song is literally eyewitness testimony, first voice narrative of the conditions of what took place around the Emancipation Day on St. Martin. So that's in the voice of our elders, of our forefathers.
Mm-hmm. One more part of the lyric that I always want to hear in the chorus, you heard him say, brim, shoot. Panam, Panam, what is being said?
Actually, before we get to the brim, we say, walk free, walk free, walk free, walk free, walk free, done. So they're establishing and being very vocal about it. Mm-hmm. Free labor is over. Yes. You understand? So brim, shoot, Panam. When I spoke to the elders, the word Panam means upon you. Okay. So the joke is not on us, it's pon them.
Right.
So that was one of the explanations I received in one of the interviews. Mm-hmm. So it's like brim, shoot, panam. Mm-hmm. So it's like this double entendre of this verbiage, this battle between who know and who know what, is on you, not us.
The drums.
Yes.
Blowing of the conch shell. Mm-hmm. All of this embodies Panam.
Yes, actually the flamboyant tree, the spirit, because when I did my thesis, we presented to some of the descendants of the former people of the Panam dance, and we gave our all. We dance, we huff, we puff, we jump, we prance, we kick up. They were like, that's all the energy you have. So really what it means to be enslaved is something that I don't think we'll ever understand, because your freedom, your literal breath, everything is managed, controlled. The very milk in your breast is not yours. The very eyes that you cast upon your loved one is not yours to express, because everything can be used against you. So what it means to liberate yourself from that. And that's why I'm so proud of the fact to know that St. Martiners have always been very proactive in their liberation struggle as early as 1848 and even before that. I mean, the archives is one of the fabulous places I spent a lot of time with the late Alfonso Bladen, who really, brought me in and shared this with me. And you'd read all of this. It's like watching a blockbuster Hollywood movies, the intrigue, everything that they had to do to survive, to escape. It was just fascinating.
Okay, now let's jump back into the questions.
Sure.
Because those were a few that I had, extra as well. Okay. What was the significant impact of the Emancipation Proclamation?
Well, I'd like to think it was the seal that formally made it so. However, on St. Martin, the people had already taken it into their hands. So they weren't waiting for this official seal necessarily, because they had already determined we are free. Walk free is done. They moved about freely. There was this idea that we were getting off this island. So yes, it became official within the ranks of the offices that it had to be official for. Right. But the spirit of the people had already established, we are emancipated. Emancipation come. Whether it's 1848 or 1863, it doesn't matter to us, because we are taking destiny in our hand. And that's something that's very important for St. Martiners to know, that from 1848, the entire island was engaged. The French assisted. They received our brethren from across, from the south side, it was from Marigot or from Phillipsburg, from Great Bay. They were received, they were helped to escape. There was a very systematic system in place to assist people getting off the island. There was a whole system of getting people off the island through grand cars, you understand? So they were very strategic in their liberation.
And as you say, being freed, Clara, approximately how many slaves were freed at that moment, as also some of the famous names that forever will be associated with emancipation?
The number that we have from the archive was that in total, 64,000 men, women, and children were given their freedom, not just on that day, but the period leading up to it. In the documents, they have this thing called the manumission, where you see enslaved men and women being released, people buying their freedom, former slave owners buying their freedom. So manumission is the name they use for that idea of ending a servitude. So that was a period that was going on throughout, more heavily towards the end.
Right.
But certainly the total number of enslaved within the Dutch kingdom at the time was 64,000. And the list doesn't define whether it was in Saba, Statia, St. Martin, is throughout the Netherlands, the Dutch territories. So it was 64, and that's why I think in 2019 we did a ceremony called 64,000, We Have a Name. And some of the famous names, one of the names that really fascinates me is a name called Shaquiba. Because when you see all the names, they have very Eurocentric names. Now, Shaquiba is certainly not a Eurocentric name. Names like Sarah, names like Molly, names like this. So I'm like, who was this woman that she was able to hold on to her name? Yeah. And there was even a part in the archive where they talk about where she managed to escape, and her punishment, that and that of her child, was 50 lashes. She managed to escape to St. Barth, and they brought her back. And then her punishment was 50 lashes for escaping. But whoever she was, we know the name of Loke, Wantete Loke. We know the name of Shaquiba. Most recently, in an interview with a conversation with Steffi Gums, who's also doing research from the French archive point of view, she introduced me to a new name that I can't wait that they're going to share. They're doing a series of famous names on the French side for the Emancipation tribute. And the name that she brought forward was a name called George the Poisoner. And apparently George was using herb knowledge to poison their masters. I mean, you have to give them credit. That shows again that at no point were we complacent. Some people have the audacity to tell me, oh, well, slavery on St. Martin wasn't so bad. No, it was bad, period. You don't have a degree of what bad is. Bad is bad. You enslave a human person. Last night I was watching this show on television where this, what his name is? 'Cause I'm Happy, Terrell, his family history was being traced, and he got to hear firsthand in their descendants' voices.
Pharrell Williams.
Yes. What his aunt described of the horror of what they experienced. So at no point was slavery wasn't so bad. It was period bad, non-negotiable.
Clara, we're going to take that break. As you can see, we're running out of time. There's so much information to share. Stay tuned again. This is Inside Government Interview. If you're wondering what the topic is about, it's Emancipation Day 2022. When I return, we'll continue further into this interview. Stay tuned. I'll be back right after this.
The Ombudsman is here for you. The Ombudsman, we're here for you. The Ombudsman, we are here for you. The Ombudsman is here for you. the Ombudsman. We're here for you, the Ombudsman. We are here for you. Good governance is a must. This institution you can trust. Guardian of the Constitution. Not one but more solutions for complaints against the government. Protectors of the citizens. Promoting good governance in our friendly island, St. Martin. The Ombudsman is here for you. The Ombudsman. We're here for you. The Ombudsman. We are here for you.
The Ombudsman is the voice and protector of the people. Visit us at E. Camille Richardson Street, number 13 on the Police Station Road in Phillipsburg.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, we're here talking about Emancipation Day 2022, July 1st, that is. Before getting into that part of the interview where we'll be talking about what is to be expected for this year, CLARA. This year marks the 159th anniversary of the proclamation of the abolishment of slavery on St. Martin. As a people-growing nation, how would you say we must channel our freedom to be the best that we can be?
Good. I will also add to that the official date of 159, but also the people's date of 174, because 1848 is real. 1848 happened. 1848 was the birthplace of everything that followed, that 15-year period of agitation. So we have the official European date, but I'd like to acknowledge that we also have the official people's date of 174, which would be, I think, May 29th. I have to lock those dates down. So we have a responsibility to honor the efforts of those that came before us. The life that we enjoy today did not come cheap. It came with sufferation, but it also came with the birth of the idea of spirit of resilience, spirit of stoicism, spirit of strength, all of these characteristics of what I feel a very crucial character definition of what it means to be a St. Martiner. It means someone who is valiant, someone who is brave, someone who will fight, someone who fights against injustice, someone who is prolific, always moving forward. So we have a responsibility to honor that.
Right.
It cannot be that these people have fought so hard for us to be lackadaisical, complacent, underachieving. We cannot be those people. We have to maintain that momentum of what was established by those people that fought so hard for us to have the life that we live today. So it is a responsibility that we have to ingest and pass on to the next generation. So I think that's how I would see what the question you asked, how we would honor the freedom of what it means.
Yeah. This year.
Let's
talk about the theme.
The theme is Ancestral Echoes. And again, we're going to do the reenactment of the Diamond 26. We don't do it every year. We try to space it out and come up with other themes in the meantime, but it's always something that we have to go back to, especially with the development, the building of the area. Yesterday, I spent the afternoon going through the shrubs, digging through the bushes just to find the actual diamond plantation. And there's a wonderful young man I want to give a lot of respect to. His name is Jean-Marc Auguste, a very dedicated young man who has spent all his free time literally finding these areas, going to the bushes, locating where these monuments are. And in 2019, I couldn't find it, but he just last weekend was able to trace it. So yesterday, about 10 of us went with him in the bushes, locating the actual diamond plantation ruins. And it's right across on Union Road on the way to where they have that new development coming. Okay. So we're the theme is Ancestral Echoes, and is the idea of what is echoing in us today from our ancestors? What lessons learned? How can we honor them? What can we pass on to the next generation? So it's this idea of the continuity of those that came before us, laying the foundation, running through our veins, through our blood, through our mind, the continuum. So ancestral echoes are the songs, the messages, the strength passed on to us.
And all of this is going to be celebrated on the grounds of?
We start at Union Road, but then we're going to take the run through the hills, and we're going to do a performance, a cultural performance at Saint Jean Plantation, which is the Louis Constance Fleming ruins there when you're going to Bellevue. Okay. So there is going to be a cultural manifestation. So if you cannot do the run, we then invite you to, you can head towards that location, because by the time we leave Coal Bay at around 11 p.m., we should be getting there around midnight. And
so everyone is going to meet right there at the roundabout area?
We're going to meet at the roundabout across from the causeway. We'll have the official speeches first, and then we'll have the reenactment. We go through the hills, and then we're going to end up at Saint Jean Plantation. We will have a cultural manifestation, all taking place between 10:30 p.m. starting on June 30th, ending in the early morning hours of July 1st. So we'll be the first official Emancipation Day observance for that day.
Repeat the time again, Clara.
So 10:30 at Union Road, there's in Coal Bay.
By the roundabout?
By the roundabout across the causeway. Join us as we go in the hills to the bushes to get all the way to Frenchside Bellevue at the Saint Jean Plantation there by Bellevue, by under Louis Constant Fleming house on
As
the
you
Fleming
know,
property.
Clara, many look forward to the performances, be it in song, dance, poetry, reenactment, or skit. This is also incorporated in this year's program.
All of the above. Poetry, vocalists, dancers, projection. And it's a collaboration. We've invited one of the performers from the French side to be part of our Emancipation Day celebration as well.
Okay.
So we're trying to always keep the connection between the whole island. So it's a unity thing.
Okay. General public, usually we see the color is white that we would usually see worn on that day of emancipation.
Well, you know, I've been feeling red lately. You know, for me, I wear red on Emancipation Day. Why? Because I think it's the fire, the spitfire nature of us, that fire in our eyes, that fire in our blood, that fire for survival, that fire to be strong. So I feel if people want to pull on some red, let the red come in. You know, the blood that was shed, the fire of the flamboyant tree, the fiery red, because the flamboyant tree was used for Emancipation Day celebration. So, you know, I think that whole idea of red and what red symbolizes is also a very powerful color to wear. Normally I wear red.
Okay, good. So you would also ask the community to come out where you're red, partake in the run as well?
Please do come out. Actually, I'm going to organize a Panam workshop. So if you want to learn the Panam song, learn the Panam dance, I'm going to announce a workshop sometime this week. So you can come and learn it and be a part of the actual festivities.
Okay. Right before we end this wonderful interview and all the information that was provided on this edition of Inside Government Interview about Emancipation Day, Clara, please take us away in poetry, song.
You know, one of the things that while we have this fire, there's also lament and pain. And one of the songs I'm going to sing was part of a research compiled by Van Spijken Smith, who did his research on St. Martin years ago in a book called The Beyond the Tourism Trap. And there was this song in there that was so melancholic. It goes something like this. Let Martha go home. Oh, Molly, allow pain. Oh, Molly, allow pain in me belly. Oh, Molly, allow no younger soul.
Clara, the voice of Miss Clara Reyes, Department Head of Culture. And again, Emancipation.
Oh, you said Nancipation.
Nancipation, as would usually be said, right? In our St. Martin twang?
St. Martin twang, Nancipation.
Make sure you come out for the big celebration again. Clara, run us the dates.
June 30th, Thursday, June 30th, 10:30 p.m. at Union Road across the causeway, into the hills to end at Bellevue for midnight for the concert.
Okay. Thank you. Once again, those of you who have tuned in, thank you very much for joining us and being a part of this edition of Inside Government Interview. And again, if you would like to follow a rebroadcast of this program, be sure to tune in to St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM and also the official government's Facebook and also YouTube channel, Government of St. Martin. On behalf of our team at the Department of Communication, I'm Charity Dunker. Thank you very much for tuning in.